what we will have possible for us, if anyone really gets on the ticket, whether it's Biden, Bernie, or, I mean, Warren, I mean, hopefully not Warren, but even if it was Warren miraculously, I think that what we really got to do as a party is, unite. I mean, that's what the Republicans did in 2016, even though they hated Trump. No one said they wanted Trump. Jeb Bush and George Bush did not endorse Trump. Okay, I don't even think they voted for Trump. Maybe they did. I don't know. I have to research more about that. But the fact of the matter is why
George Bush said that he did.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he voted. I know he didn't endorse, but I didn't know if he actually went out and
No,
voted for him. If
definitely
he didn't
not.
vote, then
Definitely not.
Okay. Well, I mean, the fact is, a good amount of the Republican base did unite against Trump because they saw Hillary as a threat. And, why let them get united? I mean, look, people are united with Trump right now. I mean, Jeb Bush likes Trump now. So the fact of the matter is, we need to unite stronger than Trump and his people are, because, like, why let them have an easy win? And I think that the Democrats could definitely really unite, but they are just going to shoot themselves in the foot if they do that, no matter who. I mean,
try to honestly stop Bernie Sanders coming in?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I'll say it again. Like, I don't really care who gets the nomination. I'm not saying Bernie's my first pick, but like, if I was in the DNC right now, I would not be even talking about this, because first off, then, do we live in a democracy, or do we actually live in a socialist regime? I mean, like, if we can't have free and fair elections, then, I mean, our democracy is already dead, and then none of the Democrats can be talking about fixing our democracy if they're going to be supporting the DNC, which, by the way, Bloomberg donated a lot of money to the DNC. So I don't know if you saw about that. I was reading about that today.
Yeah, and then that's probably how he's going to be able to get on the debate stage now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Marianne Williamson. She literally just dropped out, and now, she could have made it onto the debate stage, but it's like, it doesn't, like, they are, like, look, they're making the RNC look so good. Like, the RNC didn't do this. And I am blown away by the party that is usually and typically voted by and does policies that are usually only serving for the ultra wealthy in this country. They didn't even do this. But the Democrats, I mean, that's the last party I would have even thought about. I mean, I can maybe see the Libertarians doing this type of crap. But the fact that, I mean, they are going to shoot themselves in the foot so bad, they're going to be crying again that Trump won in 2020 if this occurs. And the fact of the matter is, well, if Trump wins again, because the fact they put Bloomberg up in a circumstance that Bernie actually wins the nomination and we lose, well, now we know who to blame. It's Tom Perez and his scam artist at the DNC. So
yeah, that is definitely the reality here. That's going to be something very, very interesting. We do got some new results and some funny things. Donald Trump is this is not surprising. Donald Trump's going to win the Iowa Caucuses for the Republicans by like 97%. No surprise there. And that's where he's up right now. And it looks like in Grinnell, Iowa, they've decided that they're making their first Iowa Caucuses early estimate at this point. Sanders seems to be in the lead, just in Grinnell, Iowa, as they begin the voting right now to happen at these early caucus sites. Sanders up 44.7. And looks like the closest there is Warren at 28.6. That's just one caucus site, CNN early estimate they're putting up on the TV for the first round there at this time. I do want to play for you a little bit of a funny clip. We love our funny clips. And by the way, the Washington Post, this should be predicted, with Bernie Sanders the favorite to win in Iowa. This is the plumb line column, the Washington Post. Why you should ignore the results of the Iowa caucuses. Guys, it doesn't matter. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Like, it's all fine. The Bernie Sanders downplaying here is incredibly funny. All right, I do want to get this clip there. Just new on MSNBC, talking about what to expect. And Jason Johnson and Nina Turner coming in on the. Jason Johnson is an anti-Bernie guy, and Nina Turner is obviously a great supporter of Bernie Sanders. This clip's about 1 minute long. James, you won't be able to hear it, but I will recap for you. Oh, it looks like we don't have any audio yet. There we go.
Buy what he wants to buy. The system allows him to buy himself into the administration, and buy himself into the debates is a problem. But to call him an oligarch, I think, is a misnomer in this environment. And again, you're working for somebody who's part of the 1%. Do you call him an oligarch? No, you don't. You say he's a rich guy. Because just because somebody has a tremendous amount of money doesn't mean that they're not necessarily representing the people. And if you want to use the term elite, you can use whatever kind of term that you want to use. But at the end of the day, the enemy of this country, the enemy of the poor, is not just everybody who happens to be rich. It is a capitalistic system that abuses people. And if you want to speak about that, that's fine. But if you want to name and call people, that's not going to help Bernie if he becomes a nominee, and he's going to need Mike Bloomberg's money. If he's going to need Mike Bloomberg's money down the road. This is all I'm talking about. I'm not defending rich people. I'm not defending rich people. I know this works on Twitter because that's how you guys operate. But when it comes to actual campaign politics, it makes sense to actually describe people for the positions that they have. It's just about a word.
Yeah, so there's a little clip there on cable news. Not a very good clip, but pretty much saying, Jason Johnson and MSNBC making the case that, oh yeah, Mike Bloomberg, he's an oligarch. He's a guy who's, Nina Turner saying that he's an oligarch. And Nina Turner making that case, saying that, and then Jason Johnson saying, to call Bloomberg an oligarch is a misnomer. You're working for Bernie, someone who's in the 1%. Bernie's worth is about $2.5 million. That's 4/1000ths of Bloomberg's $60.2 billion. So should we expect some more of this kind of rhetoric to come forth about maybe making Mike Bloomberg a little bit more palatable to the Democratic base beforehand?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Mike Bloomberg. Okay, I'm going to give you a little history of Mike Bloomberg. All right.
Please do. We have not had enough of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely. Former Republican mayor of New York City. All right. He absolutely touted his policy of stop and frisk. Now, the idea of stop and frisk, I personally don't think is a horrible idea. But the fact that it was being targeted in rather poor communities was definitely what I thought was alarming, as along with a lot of other New York City residents thought was alarming. That's one thing. Now, the other thing I didn't like about Bloomberg, when he was mayor, he unilaterally cut funding repeatedly for the city parks, and now he's trying to throw ads on TV about how he'll be the climate advocate for our country. Well, when we look back at him as mayor, people were complaining that he wasn't actually as good as a mayor as many people thought he would be. I mean, the fact that after Hurricane Sandy, I mean, he tried to do a lot of things to help the city out. But the fact that, I mean, he didn't do as much nearly as what we should have done to actually prevent the system and prevent the city from the storm, along with environmental protections after the storm that occurred along the southern portions of Queens along Rockaway Beach, which had a massive amount of garbage being littered along the beaches. They didn't have enough funding for that to clean it up until around 2 to 3 weeks after the storm had already left, which by that point it was already pretty much a biohazard. I mean, because there was so much trash on the beach that was littered all over the place that it became a hazard for people. And, you know, this is the guy who was trying to tote his environmental policy. That's just one thing. Okay. He owns Bloomberg, which is on the television set. I don't know if many people watch Bloomberg. He also does the website Bloomberg. He owns a multinational television company, also makes a magazine now for finance, and almost like a CNBC, but a private version of it. And he made that company. And just to give you an idea of how much money this guy is worth, I mean, Michael Bloomberg's net worth is $60.2 billion, which is a lot more than what Trump was ever worth. Trump was worth, I think, like right around $3 billion. This guy is worth so much money. Okay. And I don't think that anyone can trust him. And obviously they're going to try to make him more palatable because of the fact that no one can trust him. I mean, he swapped parties. I mean, he used to be, supposedly, according to him, he was a moderate. I don't really consider himself a moderate. I think he was a little bit more conservative. But
yeah, I mean, this is a guy who brought the 2004 Republican National Convention to New York City to endorse George Bush and say that, like, I like George Bush. This is, again, in the heat of the Iraq War. coming in and saying that this is like the best thing to do. So I think it's definitely something worth watching, this kind of rhetoric that's going to make him a little bit more palatable. Before we continue, though, I do want to point out this very, very funny thing. If you've ever entered Twitter and followed Jennifer Rubin, the Washington Post opinion writer, you know she's not a Bernie fan. And this is a column that she's wrote dated May 13th, 2019, Why Iowa is So Important This Time. And then just a few months later, what do we get? February 3rd, 2020. What good are the Iowa caucuses anyway? Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll be finding out more examples of that for the night, and more examples of trying to make other, probably more moderate candidates more palatable. What about? Do you think that's what could play out here?
I think that definitely could play out, and I think that what is also quite interesting. I was also just reading about here is regarding what could actually happen in Iowa after the results come back. If Bernie actually ends up winning here, he would have right around a 70% chance afterwards of getting the nomination due to the fact that no other Democrat who has ever lost Iowa has actually never. I mean, until past 2000, actually before 2000. Winners of the Iowa caucus have been able to clinch the Democrat presidential nominee, which I thought was quite interesting. I mentioned it before with Iowa and New Hampshire, but it actually is just Iowa. So it seems like that if he actually wins Iowa tonight, he'll have more than a 50% shot at getting the nomination, which is definitely quite interesting to put out there.
Who, Bernie?
Yeah, whoever wins, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Bernie,
so Bernie definitely, the Iowa does definitely seem pretty important then. And another thing that
very important
about Bloomberg is he ran for a third term, poured money into that New York City race, absolutely poured money into it. And then he was like, for his predecessor, he opposed term limits, but then he, of course, decided to run for a third term. So that's a whole other thing. So, yeah, I feel like in a way, though, he would almost be a little bit worse than Trump because he would be so much more efficient in ramping up the police force's militancy in this country and really saying, like, yeah, like this is going to be a big, big problem. The fact that, we're relaxing, but think about like relaxing marijuana laws. Like sooner or later, caffeine could be a Schedule I drug under Mike Bloomberg, and big cokes could be a thing of the past. You could get shot if you see one of those around the area. It's like it's really, really some pretty crazy stuff. The Bloomberg presidency, and it's going to be definitely interesting to watch how people take that. I do want to play for you a little bit of a fun clip of Van Jones on CNN. He's probably one of the more honest guys over there on CNN, and here's what he had to say about what could be happening tonight in the wake of the Iowa caucuses here.
Who would have thought that we would be in a situation? We have two flavors of moderates, two flavors of progressives. It's a complete jump ball. But I think if there's anything that's interesting is how many times Bernie Sanders, written off, underestimated, assumed that he was going to be easily eclipsed by Elizabeth Warren. We're just kind of waiting for the handoff. It hasn't happened yet. And he has labor endorsements, the youth with him. So I think tonight, if after all of the obits written for Bernie Sanders, he's standing in the top one or two, a lot of us got a lot of humble pie to eat today.
Yeah, so that is a clip. Van Jones saying there's a lot of humble pie that could need to be eaten today. So do you think that there could be some interesting results coming in? Do you think, put it this way, do you think some of the media are going to need to eat their humble pie tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people aren't underestimating. I mean, I'm reading another article here. People think that Buttigieg is going to pull this off. I'm just laughing right now because it's like Buttigieg is not going to pull it off. I mean, the only guy who could pull it off besides Bernie is probably Biden. I mean, Biden.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, Biden. Look, it's going to be a close race, whether or not. I mean, Sanders, I don't think is going to have a blow off. I mean, according to the probabilities here, Sanders is going to have a right around 7% advantage over Biden, which is quite a lot. But over Biden, over Buttigieg, it's more like a 9 right now. But I think it's going to be an interesting race to watch. Now, I think that the people who were saying that Buttigieg was going to win like a week and a half ago, and that poll that came out a week and a half ago that had like Buttigieg like 40%. I was like, what the hell are these people smoking? Because that was ridiculous. I mean, I don't think Buttigieg would have had any shot in this state because he is just so boring to listen to. I mean, I don't even know how I would fall. I mean, he could like read stories to me to fall asleep. I mean, I don't understand how people actually sit with him for like an hour. I mean, because also the other thing I also realized is that he sounds so much like Obama.
He really tries to make himself sound a lot like Obama so the media can like latch on to that narrative and stuff.
Yeah, which I don't really think is actually helping him out whatsoever.
Yeah, especially with no black support.
No, yeah. That's the really big problem for him right now.
All right, all these fun clips are coming in from over on MSNBC.